Well, Steve, you checked out the offensive line in
Yeah.
particular. What did you gain from who was playing with whom in what spots?
Yeah, he had a question on there I saw in the queue about Austin Siereveld and what position he might line up for the Buckeyes. They've talked a lot about having positional versatility for a lot of these guys to be able to play guard some and tackle some. My experience watching the practice on Saturday, the only player with positional versatility was Austin Siereveld, at least from where I was sitting. I taped about 40 or 50 plays and cut them down to 10 for my video. And I charted each series who was lined up, and it's kind of surprising. At left tackle, there were only two guys who played, and it was Ethan Anianwa, the transfer from Rice. It looks like he's pretty much entrenched as the starter at left tackle, and I thought he did a pretty good job on the whole. And then behind him is the true freshman, borderline five-star offensive lineman Carter Lowe. When we interviewed him last week, I asked him, I said, Carter, where do they have you repping at? He goes, just left tackle. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So they think he's special, obviously. It's going to be on with this year with Lowe backing him up, it seems like, and then Lowe's job the following year. So I think you can kind of put that one in concrete right there. Left guard, I had four guys repping with Luke Montgomery with the first team, then Austin Siereveld and Devontae Armstrong kind of mixing in with the second team. And I think it's Jake Cook, the true freshman from Westerville North. He was also repping there. Those four guys were all seeing time there, but I think that's Luke Montgomery's job with the way he came on the last two games and played in the playoff. Center, you had Carson Hinsman as the starter with Josh Padilla backing him up. And I figured within this positional versatility thing that Padilla would be repping some at guard. But when we talked to him last week, he said strictly at center. So take that for what it's worth. He's the backup center, and I think he'd do a good job if they had to put him in there. And then they have a walk-on Lawrence. I didn't get his first name. Was also repping a little bit at center as well. But the only two scholarship guys that were doing it were Hinsman and Padilla. I think Montgomery has done it a little bit in the past as well. Right guard, you had four guys. You had Tegra Shabola, who most people think is probably the starter at right guard. Then Austin Siereveld was also there. Gabe Van Sickle, I think, as a redshirt freshman, was there. And Javon McFadden, a true freshman. They were all repping there. And then right tackle was Philip Daniels, the transfer from Minnesota, was pretty consistently the starter, with Deontay Armstrong and then Ian Moore backing him up. So, again, I don't know the exact pecking order between Deontay Armstrong and Ian Moore, if one of them was getting more run than the other. But, and Austin Siereveld also took a series at right tackle as well. So he repped at left guard, and right tackle in the course of this scrimmage, from what I could tell, unless I'm off somewhere. But in terms of where do we think Austin Siereveld is going to start, I think that's completely up in the air. And I think Tyler Bowen, this is crazy to say this, he could look at left guard, and right tackle. He's got four guys basically for three spots, and say the three guys who practice the best this week, those are the guys who are going to play. And those are the guys who are going to start. And I don't rule out the idea that Siereveld could spell Montgomery. He could spell Shabola, and he could probably also spell Philip Daniels at right tackle. Heck, he may win the right tackle job. I'm not giving it to Daniels. We heard Siereveld has rep there a little bit as well. So starting, don't worry so much about that. It could be a fluid situation. Last year, they started 6 or 7 different offensive line combinations, and it worked out reasonably well for them. The Michigan game notwithstanding, that was kind of a clown show. But, I think otherwise, Siereveld's going to play. He was one of 3 Iron Buckeyes on the team. Jeremiah Smith was one. Siereveld, who was the third one, Tony? You're good at these little Sonny Styles. Woo, yeah, wow. That's good company. Only 3 of them is kind of surprising but because ordinarily they'll usually have 5 or 6, give or take. But those 3 must have really, really stood out above and beyond the rest of the crowd during the strength and conditioning training, just those few weeks they had from the championship game to spring break. So, to me, I like the offensive line. We've sat here in the spring the last few years and watched the defensive line just cave them in day after day, practice after practice, and wasn't really like that the other day, I didn't think.
Yeah, I'm just going through my notes, and I had Siereveld at right tackle with the ones at points. And then Ian Moore later on in practice was with the ones at left tackle and mixed in there, but he was also with the 2s at left tackle, which is interesting to me as well, where, they're going to, unless you're a freshman, if you play the left side, you're also going to play the right side. You're going to mix in and do some things. And so will Austin Siereveld be the starting right tackle at this point? I think it's a race between him and Ian Moore and Philip Daniels. And I guess you probably go with the experience there. But I also wouldn't negate the possibility that he could be at right guard as well. And if Ian Moore or Philip Daniels can show that they are better than Tager Shabola in terms of being one of the top 5, the versatility of Austin Siereveld gives them that liberty or that luxury of going with their best 5 and knowing that they'll probably be okay. So I was talking with Austin Siereveld when we did, like he's fine with moving around because he feels like where he's going to have a job. I think he feels pretty confident that he's going to have a starting job when this is all said and done. So, he's got the kind of versatility that they like, and people seem to be convinced that he can handle it at tackle. Now, it'd probably be easier for him at right tackle. And Ethan Anianwa came in at 365. He's down to 335 now. So he's moving better than he has because he was 345 his last year or 2 at Rice and needed to drop some weight. And even Carter Lowe came in at like 341 and he was down to 321. I think some of the freshmen had talked about how when you go on the road for like 2 weeks with the Buckeyes during the bowl trips, you can maybe kind of put on some weight.
They were whining and dining, the boys.
So, then you got to come back to reality after the season and realize, I shouldn't have had that 4th steak.
Yeah. Or all those mashed potatoes. Oof.